Welcome to the TMC Talk Show, and today we are taking the opportunity to sit down with Facu Regalia, an ex-GP2 driver who has started his own driver coaching enterprise. In this episode, we will be talking about scandal.
It was pretty unfair.
Whether Facu drives over the speed limit.
I don't know what to say, to be honest.
And the debut of my brand new segment. So, ready yourselves for a new and improved version of the TMC Talk Show, coming to you right now. Facu, welcome. And I think to start off, let's just get right into your racing career. So you were born in Argentina, but most of your starting career took place in Spain. So was that a difficult decision for you to move like pretty much across the world, across the Atlantic at such a young age?
Oh, well, it was a family decision. When I was 8 years old, we were living in Buenos Aires, and because of family reasons and the company of my family, they wanted to move everything and moving the whole family over here in Spain, and having our base from the beginning here in Madrid. And well, that's basically why, well, thanks to obviously the result of that move in the future, I had opportunity to get into this world in motorsport, because I was always playing football. That was actually my dream, to become a professional football player. But in the end, I moved completely to a different world and a different sport. And I, like you said before, I started my career directly here in Spain.
So in 2008, you made your Formula debut when you raced in Formula BMW. And drivers such as Nico Rosberg, Sebastian Vettel, they've all competed in Formula BMW. But I doubt that many fans know all that much about the series. So, although I know it no longer exists, how did Formula BMW run, and how was it different from a series such as Formula 2 or Formula 3?
No, well, for me, obviously, it was the key of my success, I would say, because Formula BMW for me was, well, the first step into single-seaters, first of all, and then second of all, I did three seasons in Formula BMW, because with my group of people and my teamwork, decided to stay for a bit longer to simply prepare myself a bit better, to be fully kind of, prepared for the next step that it was Formula 3. The drivers level and the team level, even sharing the weekend together with F1, was always really high. So I was obviously becoming better and better and better, and as in general as driver. So it was kind of the best possible learning and experience that I could have, driving or running for 3 seasons in this category, to then be really strong from there on, in the rest of the categories that I was driving from there on, So yeah, that's basically what it was, and what I how important it was for me to have driven in an important category like this one. Like you said before, many F1 drivers raced in the past in this category. So yeah, in the end, it was a great car, by the way, a great car to learn, a great car to get experience, and technically to get also better. So nothing. In the end, really happy with my moments basically on this series.
After spending those 3 seasons in Formula BMW, you then moved on to various regional Formula 3 competitions. And then you had a great season in 2013, racing in GP3 with Arc Grand Prix, in which you finished runner-up to Danny Kvyat, as you were saying. So just take us through that season. What went right? What went wrong? What did you do differently than before to get such a great success?
Well, I think 2012 was definitely kind of the preparation of what it happened afterwards in 2013, because Formula 3 open, and then also doing a dual program with AutoGP, like kind of made me way more confident and stronger, because I was finally fighting for both championships at the same time that season. Adrian Campos was my manager by then. So, I was getting really confident with myself, winning races, being always in the podium. That was obviously giving me a great feeling, to feel really enough to go for a really important season like the one that it was in 2013 with Art in GP3, getting back to the Formula 1 weekend, having a really strong lineup and really strong teammates besides as well. So like Jack and Connor. So in the end, that season one was honestly started really bad because in Barcelona, that it was the first round, I had mega issues with the tires, and I actually had a DNF on Saturday and a really complicated race on Sunday. But from there on, we and I could understand basically the Pirellis a bit more, and from there on, it was always a matter of being in top 5 the whole time, being at the podium, fighting for poles, winning in Nürburgring, getting basically closer and closer to the leader of the championship at that point, and then becoming the leader of the championship from Hungary onwards. But basically, the problem arrives simply at the last round in Abu Dhabi. I had a gap of 7 points to Kvyat. I was really confident to honestly have a really good weekend in Abu Dhabi. But unfortunately, many things happened. There was something really weird going on already from the previous round in Monza. Kvyat was still P5 in the championship. I was leading the championship by then. Even Connor was P2 at that moment in the championship. And Kvyat was, I don't know if you remember, but he was already announced by Toro Rosso, a Formula One driver for 2014, on Thursday, before even the weekend started in Monza. And like I told you before, he was still P5 in the championship, so it was actually, it sounded very strange for everyone in the paddock, to be honest, and Kvyat had not won a single race by then. So from then on, but like right after that new coming over and getting to everyone, Kvyat started to fly like directly. I mean, literally started to be in another level, we couldn't really understand. Carlos Sainz Jr. was his teammate, and I had always a really good relation with him and his father. And I'm going to tell you an anecdote, that it happened after in Abu Dhabi. Kvyat won everything afterwards, like everything. He won Monza, did the pole position by 3 tenths to P2. And then we arrived to Abu Dhabi, and it was exactly the same thing, doing the pole position by 3 or 4 tenths and winning the race by 7 or 8 seconds, something really crazy. And, Carlos Sainz's father came to me because I was honestly really disappointed to have lost the championship. And he came to me saying, Facu, you are the real champion of this championship. Everyone will know in the future what exactly happened after the new released by Toro Rosso in Monza. And apparently, out of nowhere, without reporting any single issue on his engine, apparently they changed the engine before the weekend in Monza, and there was a clear advantage on him compared to the rest, and compared to obviously his teammate Carlos Sainz. That was basically the reason why the category, the team, or whoever put Kvyat in a complete different level compared to the rest. So it was pretty unfair in the end what it happened, and I feel sorry about it because, yeah, it could have been great, honestly, to have achieved or to have got that championship. But yeah, it's what it is. Sometimes you need to accept, and you can't control what is going on or what is happening around you. So yeah, that is basically the reason why I couldn't really get my final goal that season.
But just maybe to put a positive spin on that whole story, right? To see someone like Kvyat, one of your co-drivers or co-competitors make it into Formula One, was that kind of a positive sign to you, thinking that, okay, he got the seat this year, but that could be me this time next year?
No, I mean, definitely, of course. I mean, it was hard for me to assimilate that I couldn't make it, and they could in the end. I'm talking not only about Kvyat, also about Carlos Sainz Jr., both, in the end. I see them now still racing, in F1. I'm mainly in contact a bit with Carlos, not so much with Daniel. I already, of course, assimilate by now where I am and where they are, of course. But at the beginning, of course, it was a big frustration for me. I had to accept it, I had to accept it and to assimilate how the situation was in Kvyat cases, in Sainz cases, they had actually the opportunity, thanks to the support they were getting from their own country, all important oil companies, like in Carlos Sainz cases, and of course, thanks to of course the talent for one hand, and for the other hand, the economic support from their countries, they managed to make it at some point. So obviously happy for them, but in the end, of course, not great for me. Of course, I would have loved to have driven at least one season in F1.
Yeah. One question I've always had just about any driver in their come up, right? You see all these drivers being sponsored by their nations, right? But you guys don't always necessarily race for your nation. You kind of race for your team and race for yourself, kind of primarily, right? So, well, why would a country, why would a nation provide economic support to you guys as drivers, even though you guys don't technically race for them first?
Well, in the end, you need to always keep in mind that we are also representing a country. We are fighting on track. We are winning races, and we always do it for our country as well. That's how I feel it, at least in my case. For me to hear and feel the Argentinian anthem there in the top of the podium is one of the most and the best possible moments and emotions that I can have in my life. I would say, not only talking about my career, also in my life, because I'm very passionate, and this is how I feel it. For that reason, at some point, I understand that I should deserve, of course. It also depends on the passion that there is in your particular country about motorsport. In my particular case, in Argentina, after football, motorsport is everything. Everyone loves motorsport. The passion about this world and so on. So of course, it always made sense for Argentina to support someone that at some point can make it to F1, or is close to F1, or can actually race in F1. In some other examples, like Carlos, well, in Spain it is already, and it was thanks to Fernando Alonso. An important sport in this country, and an important topic, or an important area to support. For Russia was obviously kind of a new one. It was obviously a bit surprised to see that F1 was landing in Russia for first time ever in the history, and then also having a Russian driver on board. Okay, Vitaly Petrov already raced before, but then Kvyat was kind of following that that period in the end. So that's basically the reason why countries, governments, or the most important companies from every country are kind of supporting those drivers that are representing their flag or their country in the end.
After GP3, right, you went to race in GP2 and also had some success racing in AutoGP. Again, earning second place in that championship. But currently you are a driving coach, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like the term driving coach in America, at least, kind of makes me conjure up images of old men teaching 15-year-olds how to not crash into a mailbox or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that's not what you do. So can you kind of explain to us what is the job of a driving coach in motorsport?
Yeah, of course. In the end, so right now, my present is my current job as a driver coach, running my own company, Road to Success, with 5 driver coaches in total. We are actually working not only here, also there in America with Juncos Racing in Indy Pro 2000, not Indy Lights this year, but and also with Artem Petrov, that is our client as well, and we are there fighting for the championship so far. But our philosophy, our work philosophy with the drivers, it's mainly we are always around the track, following them corner per corner, especially when they are struggling the most. Always in communication with them by the radio. Also, not only with them, also with the engineers, with their engineers, to basically tell them what we see about the feedback and the balance of the car. and then of course driving wise to tell them compared to the best references on track, and compared and basically according to what we see from outside, to tell them directly on live what they can change, what they can do better, where what they need to fix, what they need to change. So in the end, it's actually a really good tool to have us, to immediately be changing something and not be waiting to analyze afterwards and to waste our time. And to, the intention in the end it is to be doing bigger steps and the quickest possible, and obviously leaning on our experience, the experience we had on our career. All the driver coaches together with me, we are around 28 to 32, 33 years old. So, we were all getting into nearly GP2, were seated by Renault. Some of them even drove the F1. So we are really experienced people, and we know about what we speak about. And in the end, we simply want to cover all the necessary areas to make them better in general, as driver.
What drivers are you working with currently?
So right now we have in total 10 or 11 clients, 3 teams: Van Amerforth Racing, Drivex, and Juncos Racing there in America. And then drivers like Artem Petrov, Sofia Flor, Sebastian Fernandez. Well, at some point, Juan Manuel Correa as well, but Juan Manuel is now having a full recovery, of course, like everyone knows. Actually, I spoke with him yesterday. I had a long chat to simply update me about how everything is going. But Juan normally want to be a client in F2 last year and this year as well, but we will wait for him, of course. Pierre-Louis Chauvet, Alessandro Famularo, and then Santiago Tricini. So we are, and Matteo Llarena, like I told you before as well, in Porsche Super Cup. So that's basically so far the lineup inside of Road to Success, in between drivers and teams. And we are basically divided, in between all the coaches, and working nearly or almost in all the junior series in the way to F1, and then also in the road to Indy as well.
So you were talking a little bit about how you're there for the drivers on the radio, right, during the race. So if you are at all, how involved are you in the strategy making decisions for an actual race?
Well, we are actually we are probably more than what people think. In the end, we are, like I say, our mission, it is to be always on track. We are never in the pit lane. That is something that we leave, of course, for the team, the mechanics, the engineers, and so on. Also to even at some point help them with what we see compared to the rest of the contenders. If we are at some point, for example, fighting for a podium, and I see a weak point from one of the people in front of our driver, then I can actually use the straight to tell him, listen, take advantage of this and go for it, and or change this line to make it better for the exit, and then you will have a good opportunity afterwards, or stuff like that. We are actually always in a good position to inform our client or our driver or even the team. If something happened that they cannot see, if there is something on track that at some point it will be important to avoid, or I don't know, in the end, I think we are a great tool for them, not only for our client, also for the team as well. And that's the reason why I think if we continue having this approach, this, like I said before, this philosophy, and the clients and everyone is really happy with us, luckily and hopefully. So we are every year, improving, getting better, inventing new ways to keep learning them, and that's actually our goal, and our target with all of them.
Circling back to your career specifically, right, your driving career.
You're
still pretty young, and there's plenty of drivers out there competing who are much older than you. So why did you decide that moving to coaching was the right option for you?
Well, to be fully honest, I was obviously trying first to get an opportunity in touring cars. I was actually very close to be competing in Formula E the first season in 2014 when Formula E born, and when they compete for first time on that season. But unfortunately, I was really unlucky, and for really nothing in the really last moment, I lost the end opportunity. That it was a big shame because I was really, of course, interesting to be participating on such a different series, and especially because drivers level were looking really, really, really good and really high, in terms of that. But at some point, the only thing I can say about it is that probably my mistake, like I say to many people around me, it was that I was simply thinking too much in F1, like really, really focused to get F1. And I was probably not fully open at some point to receive some other possible opportunities or offers in the touring cars world, and also possibly in prototypes like LMP2 or LMP1. So that was possibly my mistake, from then on, I would say from 2015 onwards, I was obviously trying to get in contact with all these kind of series, then speaking with some contacts and some possible teams. But to be honest, I had some opportunities. I raced with a Porsche 991, the 24 hours in Paul Ricard and also in Dubai with a semi-official Porsche team. Everything was looking really good. They were really interested, but right in the last moment when everything was looking really good and I was actually starting to get paid officially as driver, that team entered on bankrupt, and I couldn't continue anymore. So for that reason, I think I was simply also a bit unlucky with all those possible opportunities that I could have had in my career.
Now, up until this point, all of these questions have been pretty run-of-the-mill interview questions. But I've decided that here at the Master Cylinder, we can make a bit more of an effort to be unique. And that is why we're going to move to a brand new segment that I'm calling Sid Asks Stupid Questions to Respected Members of the Automotive Community. So, Facu, are you ready?
Okay, yeah, let's go.
All right, my first question. Well, on YouTube, there is a video of you celebrating your first GP3 victory at the Nürburgring. And I think you know where I'm going with this. But
yeah,
there's
of course,
a slight mishap during the celebrations. So how glad were you in that moment that you were wearing a helmet?
Yeah, I think I overreact a bit, but it was such a big emotion for me and such an important victory for me to actually get finally what I wanted to be in the championship, like officially from the road fighting for the championship. And I needed more than anything, that victory. And it was in one of my favorite tracks as well. And it was such a perfect weekend for me, doing pole position, getting the fastest lap as well, that I wanted to express my emotion more than anything. And basically I simply lost my balance when I was stand in the cockpit, and yeah, well, it was obviously a blooper, a funny moment for everyone, and everyone of course are gonna remember that moment. It was obviously really funny to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you did a really good job of playing it off, though. You got right back up and kept celebrating.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you see the video, I like thanks God that I didn't hurt myself with anything, and I could kind of get up quickly without actually even people noticing that I had that moment.
Yeah, good on you. Well, second stupid question. When doing your daily driving, like driving just on regular roads, not on a racetrack, how often do you break the speed limit, or is it so often that you don't even feel comfortable talking about it on camera?
Well, I don't know what to say, to be honest. Yeah, interesting question in the end. It's not a stupid one, but yeah, I don't know what to say, to be honest. Yeah, well,
okay, you don't need to get
but
in trouble, right?
you mean about breaking basically the speed that I should respect on when I'm basically driving a normal car or a road car or what?
Yeah, like a road car, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, when I was younger, to be fully honest, yeah, I was kind of not fully conscious or aware about it, and I was kind of pushing the whole time. Um, so I had to at some point control myself a bit. But to be honest, right now, only if I'm in a rush. Otherwise, I'm simply pretty, pretty easy. I mean, respecting basically the road rules.
Yeah, no, the only reason I ask is because, I guess a lot of people just kind of assume that racing drivers would be very aggressive drivers no matter what situation. So it's always interesting to.
Now, I think to be honest, compared to, of course, the rest of the people, we simply have a better control of the situation in general, simply in terms of reflex, possibly distance wise with the car in front, and naturally, it simply comes from us that if we want to push, we push, but we push like kind of mentally knowing what we are doing, in the well, no, I'm not going to say that this is the case from everyone. I'm talking in that case about myself, that I never had a single issue in the road, a single one, since I have my driver license from already 11 years ago. For that reason, I at some point simply consider that because of our knowledge and the experience of our racing career, at some point possibly we can simply control it a bit better.
As a driving coach, is there ever a time that you get so frustrated with the driver that you wish you could just kick them out and do the racing yourself?
Absolutely. Good question, actually. Absolutely, 100%. Sometimes I see, I don't know if it's either if it's one of our clients, like literally one of our drivers, or if it's one of the drivers of the team, that is also in the end our client. If I, sometimes I'm simply telling myself, fuck, if I could be simply me there on track driving that car, it could be way easier to simply show him how it is, look at me, this is how it should be, do it, kind of like that. But yeah, I mean, I had some moments, well, I had those moments, and I'm not gonna lie you, yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, have you ever tried maybe like if you're on a sim with the driver, say, right? Have you ever tried, hopping into the sim yourself, doing a lap, showing them how you would do it, and then?
Yeah. I actually do it in the simulator, especially there in Van Amerford. Van Amerford has a really good structure with 3 simulators where we prepare the drivers, and I'm always joining, to actually put them a reference or to show them what I mean with something that probably they didn't understand or whatever. And actually, last week, for example, the team Van Amerford used me as a tester. So I was driving the second car of the team on real track, and it was a great reference and a great tool for Pierre-Louis, that he was in that case the other driver, and he was and is actually also my client in Road to Success. So it was actually a really good opportunity for him, and also for me, to be honest, to get back again on track, because it was something that I really wanted as well.
Nice. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time for tomfoolery we have today, as it is time to move to my final 2 questions. And
okay,
don't worry, they're relatively serious ones. So first off,
okay.
Which do you like better, being a driver or a driving coach?
Nah, being a driver, 100%.
100%?
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, I love my work, my job in the end. But of course, if you ask me what you just ask me in the end, I'm gonna always say being a driver, of course. Yeah.
All right, so that was a pretty easy one. So we'll get to the final question. Hopefully, this is a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
What is, for you, the best moment of your career? It could be a race, a season, a coaching moment, anything. What is
it? I mean, initially, I would say that moment in Nürburgring, that race weekend in Nürburgring in GP3. But to be honest, making it a bit more general, I will say the GP3 season in general. I mean, that season was for me by far an unforgotten season, and I will keep it for forever with me. And I think, unforgettable. I mean, I will say the GP3 season in 2013. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I think your celebration after Nürburgring was certainly memorable. And I think
yeah, of course.
being at the top, second place, vice champion, that's still extremely good and memorable too. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on for the 6th episode. It's been, extreme pleasure getting to speak with you and hearing about your story,
for me as well.
everything that you're doing right now. So thank you.
No, for me as well. Actually, I also congratulate you. It was a great interview and good questions. And
Thank you.
yeah, pleasure.